Hey there, YouTube. I thought I'd do something different today and narrate this flight. It's a test flight on the long-range drone that I built. It's the 7-inch build based on Falcon Red FPV's Falcon 7 frame, which I love. I think it's a fantastic frame. I love the design and the layout. I love that the FPV camera and the GoPro itself are mounted lower on the stack, and you can get really close to the ground, and it just gives you that fantastic perspective. Today's flight is a test flight. I replaced my Express LRS 900 megahertz receiver, which was not diversity, for the Gorilla Link diversity receiver that Bachgrinder's been promoting. I don't know why there's no love for diversity receivers in the 900 megahertz band other than Crossfire. I've been looking for something like this, and thank you, Bachgrinder, for finding Gorilla Link, because what a difference it makes, especially when you're at distance and perpendicular to yourself, and you're not in that Immortal T deadband that you get at distance. I had a little trouble wiring the receiver up and then flashing it, and the guy that runs Gorilla Link, his chat was working and he helped me through with it, so thanks Gorilla Link for that help. His cable coloring is the same that I use, but for whatever reason, on this particular flight controller, my color wiring was backwards, so I had my RX going to RX and TX to TX, and it didn't work until obviously I got that straightened out. So I definitely recommend, if you're looking for a diversity receiver, check this out. It does not have Wi-Fi on it. It looks like an R9 that has been reflashed over to Express LRS. So you got to use the Betaflight pass-through, which does work. At least on mine it did, once I got the wiring correct. Refresh rate was 50 hertz, and my transmitter power is at 250 on this flight. Anyway, my original flight plan today was to take a swing around the retaining pond near my house, off this, I don't know, hill mound of filled dirt, or it's probably topsoil that they've grassed over, and then send it on down the tracks on the other side of the houses here to the next crossing, where I normally run into a little bit of reception issues with a couple of the infrastructure things that the train lines put along the tracks here. But somewhere down the way I heard a train coming from behind me, so of course I had to turn around and go chase it and see what was up. So I'll do that there in a minute. I can tell you, like, even now before I turn around, I could tell that there was a big difference. There was no bobbling at the LQ at all down where I turn around. Generally around there I have a little bit of receiver bobbling numbers going on. I was pushing this drone quite hard. You saw in the distance a weather system that was moving in that day. I had been waiting for a week for me to be home and the weather to be good enough to flight test the Gorilla Link. Thankfully today there was enough, the skies opened up enough and dried out enough before more rain moved in, so that's why the video is a little bit dark. I just didn't have time to switch out ND filters and get a good recording. Trains run quite frequently past my house, so it's fun to go down and get alongside them and chase them or run along the tops here. I use the water tower as a marker for where I am. If I ever get turned around, I'll look for that. This cell tower is new here, especially in the DVR. You can see a little desync or a little, I don't even know what it is, in the footage. I think it might be crosstalk between the cell tower and the transmitter, but it's really hard to tell. It only happened that one time and not any others. Here down behind the trees and behind the house, as I get into video reception issues, the receiver link was solid all the way through here. There was no issues with it at all. But I'm running the DJI Vista with the goggles V2, running WTFOS, and you get a little bit of breakup there, so I'm gaining some altitude to get a good link. I gotta be honest, I'm not a big fan of the digital goggles link. I like the clarity of HD or the digital link. I do not like that it's either there or gone. But such is the life we live in the age of ones and zeros. You're either there or you're not. There is no degradation. This first crossing here is about a mile from where I launched from. Right in here, there's always a little bit of video breakup, and there's always a little bit of receiver breakup. I think there was probably just a tiny little bit of receiver breakup. It was a little bit low. I did want to briefly touch on the ideas of remote ID that have been going over YouTube. I would like to say to every homeowner out there, like every one of these houses that I'm flying past or flying over when I make my return trip, that you are going to be affected by remote ID. If you want to take a drone off in your yard, you're going to have to ask the federal government permission in some way, shape, or form if you can take that drone off. You might look around, you might not see an airplane, you might not hear a helicopter, there may be nothing in the air, but if the government says you can't take off, then you can't take off. Now, if you're okay with that, then I don't know what to tell you. But if you're not okay with that, then you should listen and you should go research what remote ID really is. Because it is government overreach. It is government overregulation. It is some form of a rule that's going in a book that is thought of as law, but has not been signed by any president, has not been debated in the courts, at least when it comes to an actual law signed by a president, of legislation that has been debated and voted on by Congress. It is a rule that Congress has told the FAA to make. The FAA asked the public about it. The public said no, and the FAA said screw you. That's what remote ID is. And so everybody that's out there that owns property that would ever, whether you think you do now or not, you at some point are going to want to put something in the air. And you're not going to be able to legally do that unless you ask the federal government permission. So that's my 2 cents. And I don't know if it counts for anything, but just to put that out there. So I hope you like the running commentary, and maybe we'll do more of that in the future. If I ever get any kind of wherewithal to do this again.
It works, Jerry.
Who's Jerry?